They called them the wolves of the Atlantic, silent, invisible, and deadly. In the cold depths of the ocean, Germany unleashed a new kind of terror, a weapon that turned the seas into a graveyard of steel. This is the story of the U-boats, Hitler's submarines, machines that almost starved Britain into surrender. Subscribe to Ghosts of History, where the past still breathes beneath the waves. When World War II began, Germany's navy was weak compared to the mighty British Royal Navy, but Admiral Karl Donitz, a visionary strategist, had a plan. He believed that small, fast submarines working in coordinated wolf packs could cripple Britain's lifeline, the Atlantic trade routes. The first models, the Type 7 U-boats, became the backbone of the German submarine fleet. They were about 67 meters long, built from high-strength steel, and could dive to depths of 230 meters, deeper than most Allied depth charges could reach at the time. Each carried a crew of 44 to 52 men, cramped inside a steel tube no wider than a bus, sleeping next to torpedoes, eating stale bread, and breathing recycled air for weeks. Inside, space was sacred. There were no showers, barely any fresh water, and the air reeked of oil and sweat. The hull was double-layered, an outer casing for hydrodynamics, and an inner pressure hull that kept the crew alive under tons of crushing pressure. Its heart was the diesel-electric propulsion system. On the surface, diesel engines powered the boat and charged the batteries. Underwater, the electric motors took over, completely silent. Armament? Deadly. 14 torpedoes on average. 4 forward tubes, 1 rear. A deck gun, 88 millimeters, for surface attacks. Each torpedo could sink a 10,000-ton ship with one hit. At night, the U-boats hunted in packs, Rudel, as Donitz called them. One submarine would spot a convoy, shadow it, and radio the others. Within hours, 10 or 12 U-boats would converge silently from all directions. Then, under the moonlight, they struck, torpedoes slicing through black waters, explosions lighting the sky. Merchant ships burned. Sailors jumped into freezing seas. It was war without warning, without mercy. By 1941, the Atlantic became a nightmare for Allied shipping. At one point, Britain had only 6 weeks of food and fuel reserves left. Churchill himself later said, "The only thing that ever really frightened me during the war was the U-boat peril." The Germans kept improving. The Type 9 was larger, with a range of 15,000 kilometers, capable of reaching the American coast. Later, the Type 21 appeared, a revolutionary design often called the first true submarine, not just a diving boat. It could stay submerged for days, travel at 17 knots underwater, and reload torpedoes in under 10 minutes. Technology decades ahead of its time. If hundreds of Type 21 had been built earlier, the Battle of the Atlantic might have ended differently. For the crew, every patrol was a roll of the dice. Temperatures dropped near freezing, food spoiled, and silence was life. When Allied destroyers appeared, the men held their breath, literally, as depth charges rained out. The explosions shook the boat like an earthquake, bolts popped. Lights flickered, the pressure hull groaned. Some never surfaced again. Of the 40,000 German submariners, over 30,000 died, a 75% death rate, the highest of any branch in the German military. By 1943, the tide turned. Allied radar, sonar, and long-range aircraft closed the deadly gap in the Atlantic. New weapons like the Hedgehog and depth-fused charges made hiding nearly impossible. The hunter became the hunted. Entire U-boat packs were destroyed before even reaching the Atlantic. Donitz admitted defeat, but by then, his wolves had already sunk over 2,700 Allied ships. The U-boats didn't win the war, but they changed naval warfare forever. Their tactics inspired Cold War submarines, stealth doctrines, and sonar technology. Today, wrecks of U-boats still rest on the seabed, silent ghosts, reminders of courage, suffering, and obsession. They were not just machines of war. They were steel tombs, symbols of both genius and madness. And beneath the waves, their ghosts still whisper, "We're Tauchen wieder, we dive again." Subscribe to Ghosts of History, where the past still breathes beneath the waves.